Joining us today for Steel Club's daily market briefings is Thomas Narholz. He is a founding partner of NPT AG in Switzerland. Thomas, it's a pleasure to have you join us for Steel Club's daily market briefing. We can now take this time to promote your profile and NPT AG for SMM2021 Q3 later this month. Let's discuss the steel market and the current demand to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you describe the current market situation that is currently trending in the European market?
Thanks for the question. And first of all, thanks for the possibility to talk to you today about NPT AG and the market in general. Always a pleasure to work with your group and also a pleasure to joining again the next online session in September. Coming back a little bit, a reflection on the European market of 2020, 2021, we have to see that all the figures we can see on the market right now reflect the shock and the kind of tentative recovery which the European steel industry could have seen in 2020, where the shock was largely, let's say, a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, but not exclusively to this. The crude steel production in Europe has dropped from 2019 to 2020 about 20 million tons, from 160 million tons to 140 million tons. But this is only a year-to-year figure. The real effect was in the second half of 2020, where the figures have been halving the volumes compared to the year before. But what we can also see that the first months in 2021 have shown an improved conditions, some recovery, which was most probably faster than expected. This is coming from the fact that there was some initiatives by the country administrations that stocks have been emptied and have to be refilled. So there is some recovery, but for sure, there's still a long way to go for stability to return in the sector to a stable level.
Okay.
But what we could see, just to finish off, is that steel is really a backbone of all the countries, and that more and more countries are aware about the number of employees working in this sector, the production, and also the importance of the industry to support all the decarbonization efforts which are going on, because steel is used for wind power production, is used for power production, for all kinds of fields. So there is some hope that this recovery will continue for 2020.
Great.
22, sorry.
No problem. What perspective does NPT AG have on the steel industry globally?
What we can see is that this recovery, specifically when you see the rise of prices over in several regions and also globally, has to be seen really regionally. You can see that US for sure is still on a high side due to some protection measures which have been in place by the former administration. You can see that China much more recovered than expected because of the end of the pandemic, which was under certain control. Some other regions will heavily depend on how vaccination is, how the progress of vaccination will continue. So we will see what Africa is doing, what Middle East is doing. But as we say, right now we see a certain recovery. We see that construction and infrastructure projects are going on. And one important factor, what was not expected like it came, was a rather quick recovery of the automotive sector, which was supporting specifically the European industry, where a lot of exposed parts for the car manufacturers are produced.
Okay, great. You are scheduled to be speaking at our upcoming event in September, SMM2021 Q3, which is later this month. Talk to us about why you're excited to participate in this event.
You know, I'm now participating in MMM Steel Club seminars since beginning of last year, several times as a speaker, several times as a moderator. It's always a great pleasure because you see people you know already from the past, but you also are in the session together with new people. And each time you have very interesting discussions on new technologies, on perspectives on specific markets, which we are not so deeply in usually, but you get a good feedback what is going on there. But for me as a technician and coming from plant building, for sure, the most interesting discussions are always the discussions on new technologies, technological efforts which have to be taken.
Okay, let's now take this time to introduce your company and how it's performing.
NPT AG is, luckily, we are performing quite well. We were not so much hit by the pandemic, but I believe it is also related to our setup. We are coming originally, and our broad portfolio is coming from electric steel making under the decarbonization efforts which are going on in Europe or globally. We are involved in a couple of projects where we work on with big steel makers in Europe on how to, let's say, replace the classical route of blast furnace BOF and to introduce electric steel making in this production route, simply because, you know, electric steel making using scrap, HBI, DRI is emitting much less CO2 per ton of crude steel compared to the classical route. We are perfectly set it up for this because we have an own engineering team, so we can really perform a full, let's say, integration in terms of engineering, 3D engineering, considering buildings, construction, logistics. An integrated steel plant always has a lot of logistic issues, and specifically how to fit in an electric arc furnace in terms of high quality steel grades, which are the usual business of integrated steel plants, and in terms of production capacity to fit with the sequence of the quite fast converter technology.
Well, Steel Club is looking forward to having you join us this month for SMM2021 Q3, and we would also like to thank you for taking this time to join us for a daily market briefing. Thank you kindly, Thomas.
It's my usual pleasure to be in touch with you.